can you briefly tell us about yourself and especially about your route to referral networking?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on, Ola. I appreciate it. You've done a great job kind of being uh, following up with me all the time and making sure that you're on top of it. So it's wonderful. My background, I was born in the Middle East, actually. My family migrated to the United States during the Civil War in Lebanon. So I grew up here in Los Angeles, and kind of our upbringing had allowed us to work with people to get goals accomplished. I think inherently as a family, we were brought up to work with others. So at the core of us as people, we always try to understand that life existed because we were provided with opportunities to give before we asked. So me myself, in terms of work, I had been in the financial industry for 25 years, working in mostly managerial roles, in some cases higher end executive roles, and managed teams of up to 100, 105 salespeople. So yeah, I was born in Lebanon. We migrated to the United States during the Civil War in Lebanon, and I grew up here in LA. But at the core of who we were as people, my parents kind of instilled in us that life is through reciprocation. So even through basic ideas of saying good morning, saying good night, and saying thank you. So those were instilled in us at an early age. But I think at the end of the day, what derived or what delivered Directrope as a core belief was the ability to identify opportunities for giving as much as getting. So in terms of my background in business, I've been in the financial industry I had been in financial industry for 25 years plus. I started at an early age as a telemarketer at 19 years old, doing mortgage loans. And at some point kind of excelled all the way up to executive level, managing up to 105 salespeople, to the kind of pinnacle of my career. And at the core of my management style was always about reciprocation. It's about not only asking my employees to be loyal to me, but I want to be loyal to my employees by teaching them, by making sure that they were self-sufficient in everything that they did, and always started off with knowledge.
Interesting.
So the more they knew about themselves, the more they did.
Yeah, great. Okay, so straight to the point. What is trilateral referral all about?
So the trilateral referral is essentially bringing the customer into the process of referrals. We kind of noticed as we developed Directrope and as general as humanity, most people are either doing referrals unilaterally, so through cold calling, through marketing, or doing it bilaterally. So it's two people exchange referrals.
Cold outreach.
But when you bring giving the customer the ability to know that they're going to be called or somebody's talking about them, give them the power to determine who calls them and who reaches out to them. So that's the whole trilateral concept, is being able to network with the customer in mind and the customer involved. So third party, when I talk about customers, it's not only customers, but in network too. If I introduce you to someone, giving the third party the ability to understand who's going to be talking to them.
Interesting. Okay. Speaking of referral, what can you tell us about the founding of Directrope?
Sure. Directrope is based on a different concept than it currently the referral process exists. So most people right now operate referrals as or through text messages, through emails, through spreadsheets, through CRM systems. We kind of want to give people the ability to know what their networks are doing for them, how their networks are growing, and how their networks are producing. And we want to give them the ability to own their own data. So with Directrope and the referral process is, we believe that there's work being done prior to people ending up in a CRM system being tracked, and that work is valuable to the people doing it. So most organizations manage data through return on investment. We spend this much and we get this much output. But what we manage, one of my core beliefs is managing return on activity. So you manage the work that you put in, the time that you put in has more value than the money that you spend. So that's what we're trying to manage through Directrope, is understanding your return on activity and your network's return on activity versus just simply your return on investment.
Yeah. Okay. So how does it create or enhance networking opportunities?
So I'm glad you asked. Actually, that's kind of the basis of this whole thing is
Yeah,
networking right now happens in a manipulated, at least in my mind, a manipulated
yeah,
environment,
yeah,
right? People
yeah,
could tell you who they are and you have to believe them, right? If I tell you I'm valuable to your network, well, either you choose to believe me or not. What we've done is we've given people the ability to quantify their existence in networks.
yeah,
So being able to say, here's my Directrope dashboard. This is what we produce for our networks. This is what my network produces in me, right? For me. And it gives people the ability to know who they're networking with. So essentially,
yeah,
you know who you're dating in business.
yeah.
You understand your relationship.
Sure. So okay, I'm moving on to the next question. How can blockchain help to improve the system? This question is, I'm genuinely interested in how blockchain can bring about transformation, a large scale transformation in business. And when it comes to referral networking, I'm looking at, it's basically about, the idea of connectivity, connecting people, having a personal business relationship with people. With that comes, the issue of trust and what have you. So you look at blockchain as a whole, you would want to understand its potential. So the next question, how can blockchain help to improve the system?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid question, especially the direction that most industry is going, right? Existing on
Yeah,
the blockchain. For us, is ownership of data is number one, but number
yeah,
two
yeah,
is the inability to manipulate data is also a key factor in existing in society. And I think validation and data accuracy is a big player in the referral and activity tracking market. So existing on the blockchain is going to be key for us. But how we're going to be able to deliver that is through disallowing, I want to say, disallowing individuals to input data for themselves. So
yeah,
the concept is here to create data for others.
yeah,
So by existing in an environment where you're creating data for others, that we skip a portion of data manipulation. And by bringing the trilateral process in,
yeah,
is we allow a third party to validate the data as well. So when you're talking to someone, you know that they are unable to create data for themselves, so that data is not manipulated when it comes to you. But
yeah,
more importantly, is I strongly believe that you should own your own data and your work, right? So wherever you go in the world, that you're able to take that with you.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's an environment where we can coexist with existing CRMs, where we can share data and share information with our users, and that user can feel empowered by owning that data. So their existence is justified by the work that they do. And the validation obviously happens by people in their network. If I send you enough clients, if I send you enough referrals, that means you've done right by me, and you've treated my past referrals well.
Interesting. Okay, so can you take us on a tour of Directrope?
Can I take you on? I'm sorry.
On the tour of Directrope? Like, I want to have an insider's view of
Okay, so
Directrope.
I'll start off by saying this: is over the last year and a half, I've given out 164 referrals in my
Yeah,
network,
interesting.
and I've received 32, right?
Yeah,
So that's all validated information. There's names, times, and places,
yeah,
right? So you want to insider look at Directrope. The Directrope concept is everything that's being done historically to network is being done in an automated fashion now
yeah,
through Directrope,
yeah.
right?
Interesting.
Humans have networked for years on end.
Yeah,
People have sent clients to mechanics, restaurants,
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
bakers.
yeah.
Now we're doing that in automated fashion,
Interesting.
and trust is reflected on this platform. The most important thing to remember, Ola, is that other platforms that exist, and I don't want to drop names, they
Yeah,
exist. They give people the power to. I talk about manipulation of information. They give people the power to manipulate data. So whatever we're
yeah,
posting on social media right now, I could be sitting in my backyard and posting a picture and giving you the perception that I'm sitting on a vacation on top of a mountain somewhere,
yeah,
right? And that's not necessarily true.
yeah,
But with
yeah,
Direct Rope, we're trying to make sure that everybody knows who they're dealing with, who they're working with. That way the relationships are strong from the
yeah,
beginning and last longer.
yeah.
There's no in and out. It's either you're into this relationship or you're not.
It kind of looks
That
like a triangular relationship, kind of.
there's a lot of factors for checks and balances. You know,
Yeah.
we talk about checks and balances, is
Yeah.
that no one's going to be able to take advantage of anyone on our platform. And at the core, that's what I want. I don't want,
Interesting.
you know, salespeople being able to take advantage of each other, the customer or the managers. And in the same regards, the managers don't take advantage of their salespeople or customers and vice versa. So being able to include all parties in one area eliminates that distrust. So you talked earlier about distrust.
Yeah.
I think by being able to deliver honest results, real-time results,
Yes.
stops people from distrusting each other.
Yeah.
And what a great environment it would be if we had a baseline performance for all salespeople that's not hidden. My resume is not going to be hidden from you anymore. I'm not going to be able to make up things for my resume, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to cause people to start thinking about, hey, I can trust Ola. I can work with Ola because look, he's worked with hundreds of people before, and so many different environments. I've gone to market. We've asked so many questions around how you build your business, and I would say more than 95% of the time, people say word to mouth, referrals. It's always referrals.
Yeah.
And when I ask them to justify it, they can't. Nobody can really justify it.
Yeah, one interesting thing here is it has helped me in my career as a a blockchain journalist. I've made money through people referring me, recommending my service, and I kind of see this as a big opportunity on its own. So, like can you share your personal experience running Directrope as CEO of this company? What is it?
Sure.
What is it like to run an organization like Directrope?
So there's a variety of different areas. As a startup founder, this was the first time I had experienced running a startup, and it was an entirely different world coming from corporate or enterprise type environment to being a startup founder. I think the one feeling that I had was a constant reassurance of yourself, of your thought, being put in positions where people disagree with you and don't see the vision. And that I think for me that was kind of the biggest aha moment, is finding out what you need to deliver to people, what thoughts, right? One of my friends actually told me that, Eddie, you're 10 years from now, you have to take people with you, and that's the biggest challenge. Founder, being able to bring people on board and hiring CTOs and exchanging people out that are not on board with you. Those are kind of things that you find out only in the startup world, because you don't have an HR department that you kind of send people to. So, and the benefit is getting to meet people like yourself. I would have never been able to meet you if I was working at a corporate environment. Being able to find out other people's thought process about networking, the gaps, talking to executives at organizations, and you're dumbfounded at the way they think. So it's just a variety of different conversations that you come across, not only as a startup founder, but as a strategist in this case, that you never thought you could have. So on a positive note, meeting great people, and on a less positive note, let's just say, is realizing that there's so much opportunity out there that people are hiding from.
Yeah, Hedy, one thing that really fascinated me about Directrope is its potential to, it has a broader application. It can be applied in the cryptocurrency environment, because when you look at what is happening there, you'd see that there's a lot of networking going on, especially during the different bull runs, when you have different crypto projects, being launched, and you take, for example, a platform like Discord. You have, tons and tons of messages coming in from people talking to you about, different projects. And what is mostly lacking in this is the trust factor, and that is why the cryptocurrency world is, you've got lots and lots of scams, in that environment, and that is one thing that has, earned its image problem. Okay, so and now when I would readily embrace any solution, okay, from a business perspective, like you're working on, that can kind of help people to have confidence. Yeah, we understand blockchain is not just gonna, it is a trustless system, but it's not just gonna sit down on its own idle and then make itself work. It has to have the input of humans. And then when you look at what people try to do, like, you would still look at the human part of it. We the actors, we do play a role in, in the spread of this technology. So, and then, but when we use it for, for bad things, then you give it a bad name. So I see a lot of networking going on there, but what is lacking is the trust, factor. And of course, as I've seen the potential of Directrope to be able to kind of, create, a system whereby when someone, for example, is introducing a token to another person, just the solution that you're bringing, when I'm talking to you about the cryptocurrency, then what you're going to see is the truth, and then the trust that surrounds that kind of that project. So, okay,
Ola,
so,
if I can interject just a couple of points that you made that I think have a lot of ability, is people dismiss the human element on a lot of factors and they don't really recognize it. The example that I like to use with most people is I say, well, if you're going to get an Uber, you're going to take an Uber today, somebody before you rated that driver 5 stars. If an Uber pulls up with a 1 star, you're not riding that Uber. Or you go to a restaurant and somebody's rated on Yelp, you go off a Yelp recommendation based on what somebody else has said before you. But when it comes to business, you really don't ask for recommendations when it comes to networking. You're just networking based on happenstance, right? Right time, right place, and you really don't look into it. Well, now we're going to be able to create that. We're going to be able to create that through Directrope, where people will know who you're networking with, and you can create your own networks. You don't have to really go out and explore these other networks, these other people. You can, but you're not limited to that, right? You don't have to wait for somebody else to do the work for you. You can kind of own that process.
Interesting. Okay, so the last question now. Okay, what piece of advice do you have for budding Web3 entrepreneurs, people who would like to follow in your footsteps?
Oh man, don't get into startup. No, I'm absolutely kidding. I think the biggest advice that I can give is believing in yourself, right? Believing in your vision. There's a lot of ups and downs in this world, in this environment. There's a lot of ups and downs, and your thoughts will be challenged. People will not believe in you. People will not support you. So long as you stay committed to your ideas, your own vision, all right, there'll be a time where you'll overcome all those challenges. And that's the biggest opportunity that I found with other entrepreneurs that I'm consulting or talking to, is that break-even point. There's a point of no return, right? It's getting to that point, because other than that, you're going to go back into being a paycheck employee. At some point, you're going to be able to say, you know what, I'm collecting a paycheck and I'm good with that, versus taking your licks and taking your scratches and bruises through the startup world and arriving and bringing something to life that you never thought would exist before. So I think believership in yourself, in your emotional and mental state, is the biggest opportunity. It's the biggest win.
Awesome. Okay, Mr. Head, we finally come to the end of the interview. I'd like to thank you, especially for showing up and then for your time. And I hope to see you some other day. Okay, talking about how Directrope has become, a unicorn. Because I'm that positive about
Soon, my friend, soon. And
Yeah.
you know what, Ola, I gotta tell you is I'm really appreciative of your follow-up. I'm really appreciative of your commitment. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you, Mr. Head. You have a nice day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.